Welcome to the San Antonio.
Oh no. Did we just lose Royce?
Oh no, FC Fancast.
Oh, okay.
I'm here. I just kept going.
Okay, because it got quiet for a second there, so I was
Did
like,
it really?
great,
Oh,
I'm doing the
crap.
show all by myself.
Whoops. Well, you know what? Spoiler alert there. Thanks for joining us, everybody. My name is Royce. I'm your host, along with my other co-host. We got the Gruesome Twosome today. Joining me is Jonathan. Jonathan, how are you?
Doing all right, I suppose. Glad at least two of us were able to be available for this, talk SAFC and everything going on.
Yeah, just the two of us. We can make it happen if we try, right? And that the lyrics. Anyway, so like I said, thanks for joining us. Hope everyone's doing all right. It's Tuesday. It's not Sunday. Definitely not Sunday. Very noticeably not Sunday, but hey, we've kind of delayed talking about this really crappy game for as long as we could. We're back Tuesday. What are you going to do? I didn't want to talk about it. I'm sure you don't want to hear about it, but we're going to go into this game here in a little bit. First little note that we're going to hit up though is going to be the transactions, and SAFC transactions. None. So we're still have the same squad. I'm expecting, I don't know if I'm expecting, but normally in May and June is when you'll get one or two big signings from SAFC, big splash signings. We'll see if those happen this season. I still think it's going to happen. Jonathan, you think they're probably looking on the market right now for some reinforcements or maybe some kind of next level players?
Most likely looking for someone, yeah. I mean, they always tend to, a couple months into the season, start picking at the fringes of MLS. I don't know if that's still going to happen this year, but if it was still happening last year, like why wouldn't it happen again? And something I had written last week was SAFC's top scorer the last couple seasons, Adeniran in 2022, Oluwaseyi in 2023. Both of them came in a few months in. So we might, I know the top scorer is not the only player on the team that matters, but you could definitely see a big impactful player to coming in. I have been a little surprised that there aren't any 25-day contracts this season. I guess maybe SAFC decided that was a little too chaotic last year.
You don't want to see Eric Hurtado on another 25-day contract.
Hey, that is a great investment because they got $10,000.
They got $10,000 out of that. I know
That was the smart one.
Not bad. So
some of those other short-term signings, maybe not the best, but I think as we get 2-3 months into the season and more players become available, or teams want to give them opportunities in USL Championship, you'll see some of those guys starting to come in. Also, as SAFC figures out, hey, where do we maybe need to shore things up? Where did we think we were going to be good enough, and we're actually a little thin or not quite as good as we want to be? Marcina, I would think, is figuring those things out around this 2-3 month mark.
As is Fertuzzi. And according to, we're going to revert back to the Puro FCAC pod, went to that that community business outreach luncheon breakfast thing where some of the SAFC front office staff kind of talked about what they're looking for, and Marco Ferruzzi did confirm that he is the one that's on the horn making the signing. So I'm sure he's out looking for extra players, possibly some Argentinian players playing in South Florida that maybe access to the team's need, and could be coming down here. Who knows? So anyway, not to start speculations or anything like that at all. So anyway, continuing on, our next segment is going to be the SAFC alumni segment. So speaking of kind of, prior signings, the first big news is Jose Gallegos and Suna Yuska need 1 point. Jonathan, you want to tell them, go through the scenario that will take them over the top to automatic promotion to the Danish Superliga?
Yeah, for those who are just listening, I am making a gesture that can best be captioned as this close because Sunday Iska is like 99.999 repeating percent going to get promoted. Basically, the doomsday scenario for them, the only one that would see them not achieve promotion, is for them to lose out, for the team that they're playing Thursday, FC Fredericia, I think it is, to win out, and for Fredericia to make up like 25, 35 goal difference, something like that. So with 5 or 6 matches left, that would be a very tall order. If you're Sunday Iska, just take care of business on Thursday, win the match, or even just draw the match, but ideally win, because if you get promoted, that's cool. If you win the league, even better. That's a cherry on top. You get a trophy and all that. So just finish it off. You're this close. They're going to. Realistically, like the odds of them collapsing and somehow not getting promoted at this point are astronomically high. I mean, you probably have a better chance of winning the lottery, getting struck by lightning, and getting abducted by aliens all at the same time. Like, it is almost assured. So congratulations to Jose. I was saying a week or two ago, like, he's coming off in the second half sometimes, and someone was a little worried about injury because I think he came off at halftime, but he just tends to come off later in the match. That's been kind of a regular thing, but that also means he's starting. So he's a guy that they say, hey, we're counting on you to maybe run at defenders and get them on their heels, create some goals if you can. He's had some assists and a goal here or there, so he's been a fairly big part of this promotion, and hopefully he's able to continue being a valuable member of the team next season in the Superliga.
Yeah, and he and the big thing about Gallegos, I think he has 6 goals and 6 assists this season. But a big thing that Gallegos has, if they were to count the MLS assist or the hockey assist in the Danish Nordic Bet Liga, I think is what they're in currently. I think he would have more than 20 goal contributions, because it always seems like he has a cross, it goes off of somebody, and then that's when the goal happens. So he has a lot of goal contributions. It's just not straight up assist or goals. So one of those, when you look at the kind of the outside statistics, the outside numbers, that's his season has been very impressive for them. And like you said, they're on the razor's edge of promotion. It's going to be great for them. Congratulations to Ben Hester for winning the auction for his jersey that I lost. That's upsetting. I got outbid kind of in the last couple minutes for that, but yeah, no, smallest violin, yada yada. But really cool for Gallegos. Really cool to see. It's exciting to see, a kid we saw growing up play, going to get promoted in Europe. That's really cool. Moving right along, we have a couple more. Just real quick to follow up, forgot to mention at that game. The game on Thursday for Suna Yuska is going to be a home match. They're expecting a full sellout, and everybody that goes to that game gets 1 free beer from the club. So, because they're expecting a promotion. So I read that in Danish, trying to learn Danish. Anyway, so moving right along, we have 2 more alumni reports. First one is Tanny doing Tanny things and scoring again for Minnesota United. He scored against SKC, Sporting Kansas City, and that was a game-winning goal and a 2-1 win. And for all of you, faithful long-time SAFC fans, you'll remember Sebastian Ibeagha, a former center back in the 2017 season, who won Defender of the Year in 2017 in the entire USL. He scored an insurance goal for FC Dallas against Houston Dynamo in a Copa Tejas match this past weekend. So SAFC alumni doing great things. SAFC, Moving right along, let's go into this last game from this previous Saturday. Unfortunately, a 2-1 loss to Miami, who sits in the basement. I don't know if they're still in the basement, but before this match, they were in the basement in the East. They had one win. They beat Colorado Springs 2-0. And after that, they had a draw, and that's it until SAFC came into town. And oh boy. So let's go through this one. Jonathan, you want to go over the injury report real quick?
Yeah, so injury report, as we kind of expected, Manley and Mabongu on the report as they had been the previous couple weeks, and Salignac, after coming off the bench and scoring a penalty the week before in Hartford, was back on the injury report, unfortunately. I know I saw Royce, you were kind of speculating that this might just be, he picked up a little something, let's not risk it, let's make sure that he doesn't aggravate something on the turf in Miami. So we'll see whether or not. I mean, it didn't. We can't speculate on what happened in Hartford. Honestly.
Correct. And you don't know how he recovered, if he's, if his recovery went bad with whatever injury he had, because he was out for a long time. You can't speculate on those kind of things, and you want to avoid him going on turf. Yes, he came on in Hartford on turf, so not ideal there. But hopefully it was just a precautionary thing just to keep him out. Let's not do 2 weeks in a row. Let's do 30 minutes here, see how you react, and then continue from there. So
yeah, anyway, and beyond that, we'll get into it in a little bit, but we might have another player on the injury report.
Oh boy.
And this would be a biggie.
Yeah, huge. So let's go into the game action. 11th minute. Just a really nice cross from Hernandez, finds Hackinson on the volley in the air. Hackinson puts a really nice finish on it, puts it in the top corner where Grandma keeps the cookies. No chance the goalkeeper for Miami is going to get that one. And it's 1-0 SAFC early. Everyone's feeling good. Everyone's feeling great. And then the 20th minute happened, and this really turned the game on its head. Mitch Taintor goes down after there's a whistle, there's an extended stop, and then the camera pans. Mitch Taintor's on the ground holding the back of his leg and just kind of gives a nope. I'm done. So did not look good at all. Man, thoughts go out to Mitch. Hopefully you're doing all right. Hopefully it was just a little scare. Hopefully it's just a little knock. Just felt the grab before it went. Tough. I mean, Mitch is he's our captain. He's our general on the field. He's really the stalwart that has brought the culture from the 2022 team to this one and spread it around, and they've really rallied around him, and it's tough to see him out. He came out, like we said, in the 20th minute. Burra subbed on for him in that left-sided left back role. I guess we should have talked about the lineup. The lineup was the exact same against Hartford. There was zero change. So we really don't have to talk about that much. 2 weeks in a row, a Marcina team with the same lineup 2 weeks in a row. Unbelievable. But anyway, Mitch comes off. It's tough, and there's disorganization immediately. Jonathan, you want to take him through the 24th minute event?
Oh, yeah. So even just commenting on Taintor really quickly, he was not just captain, but unanimously voted the captain, if people didn't catch that at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And so, he's unquestionably the guy that everyone looks to. He's the leader. He's leading by example. And so when he came off, it maybe created a vacuum that we're not really sure anyone filled. But on his side of the defense, we see Miami get its first goal. This was they create a bit of space on the right side of the box, dribble through, find enough space to square a ball just a yard or two in front of the face of goal. Cisniega is able to get to it, tips it right into the path of Luisinho, who puts it in, and Miami draws level 24th minute. So that's not great. SAFC losing some of the momentum there. And I should note this was also the ball. I don't remember who it was that initially got brought the long ball down, but he brings it down the top of the box.
I think it was Lawrence. If I'm not mistaken, it was Lawrence because he was on that right side, crossed it over. He was looking for Frank Lopez. And Cisniega stopped the cross, getting to Frank Lopez. And then, like you said, Lucinho was right there to finish.
Yeah. The point, though, is that both of these goals kind of come from longer balls upfield. The first one is maybe a bit debatable. The second one is pretty obviously just ball over the top. And that one was in the 45th minute. I guess we can go ahead and transition into that.
Yeah.
Lawrence brings the ball down sort of at the top of the box. It even takes a bit of a weird bounce. And I remember at the time thinking, oh, okay, SAFC gets a little lucky there, that ball didn't bounce kindly for him. And yet somehow with him 1v2, he's able to SAFC kind of pushes him off to that same, side of the box. It's the right side if you're attacking, the left side if you're defending. He's driven kind of wide, and yet he still finds just the right window to sneak the ball past the defenders, and it's just far enough out to where Cisniega can't react in time, can't tip it away, and that's 2-1 all of a sudden right before halftime. One of the worst times to concede. But at the same time, you have to think SAFC already had a bit of a fire under it because you want to get 3 points if you can. Miami's a team that you should, on paper, be able to beat. So conceding that second goal right before halftime, I can only imagine what it's doing to the confidence and, how it might have changed the team talk. But just overall, SAFC, not exactly the better side. I mean, they got that goal, but Miami had been the better team for the first sort of 10 minutes. And after SAFC's goal and Tainer coming off, it kind of just fell apart for SAFC. Shannon Gomez said something after the match that was basically to the effect of, this wasn't SAFC's way. We weren't playing like ourselves. We weren't ourselves. And, Marcino also said the team wasn't applying its principles for the 90 minutes like he asks them to. And sure, it can be a tough ask, but we've seen SAFC teams do it dozens of times over the last few years where they don't really have moments of weakness, where they're able to apply their principles, where they're able to hold steady for 90 plus minutes. And you didn't see that on Saturday. And you would expect something like that against some of the better teams in the league. Miami, like you were saying earlier, not a team that was in good form. It's not exactly the best look for SAFC.
I agree. And like the title of the show is, just simply not good enough. That first goal against, like I said, there was a cross coming in, and it's really on the back line. It is just a lack of communication, and just a lack of quality defending. That's what it was. Cross came from SAFC's left side center back position, basically came across. Cisniega blocked the cross because it was coming right to the Miami striker looking for it. He blocks it. The player that's all by himself in the box is being trailed immediately behind from Hackinson, who's marking him, but just stops his run once he gets to the box. Miami player keeps running, finds himself in acres of space with the ball by himself with the goalkeeper on the ground, and finishes. Like, you've got to finish that run. There should be that center back. That's why I have 3 in the back. That center back should be next to Cisniega to be able to clear that. It was just bad breakdown, and that cross shouldn't have come in the first place on that side. And the second goal, basically similar thing happens. Ball over the top. Lawrence gets it, and Burks and Burra just kind of have a brain fart where no one takes charge. They kind of go around each other instead of helping each other show Lawrence to the end line. Lawrence gets a shooting lane because Burks doesn't go out and really confront him. There's no defending a shot. He just kind of goes out there and I'm just showing you over here. Burra's by himself doing nothing in the middle. There's nobody making a run. Burks can go over there, and if he's afraid he's going to come around, you have Burra as cover. But Burks just kind of shows him half-heartedly to the side. Cisniega's by his near post. He doesn't want to get beat by his near post. And Lawrence puts a shot in, and it goes right between where Cisniega is and where Burks is trying to defend, off the post and in. Like, not good enough. 2 defenders against 1 striker, not even a good angle, and he's still gonna score on you because you don't you don't defend well. And there was no fire. Nobody yelled. I didn't see any passion from the team. I didn't see anything. It was just kind of, oh, okay, get the ball in the net. We'll try again. There wasn't any fire in that second half. Like I said, it just wasn't good enough. It really wasn't anything to speak of. It was just kind of all right, let's try the right side. Oh, they're bunkering all 11 behind the half line. Well, we'll try the other side. Let's see if we can find space. It just wasn't good enough. It simply was not good enough. So go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah. Just we talked a lot about SAFC's defending and Miami's attacking, but even at the other end, SAFC having a real difficult time breaking down Miami, creating clear chances. It was a lot of lofted balls into the box and stuff that just get repelled. It was not a very focused or passionate display on the other end either. And so this was one of those matches. SAFC's even had some draws or losses where they come away from and they say, we were unlucky, but we had a good performance. There are a lot of positives to take from this. This was not one of those matches. You had SAFC just you saw it in the post game interviews. They were disappointed, not even just with the result, but with themselves, with their own performances, because they knew this was not good enough. And we alluded to it earlier. Tanner comes off. The armband ends up going to Kevin Lambert, which I guess as the most senior guy or the most experienced guy probably on the team, that kind of makes sense. I figured it would have gone to Shandon Gomez, but at the same time, the armband is kind of just a symbol. This is an SCFC team that likes to say, well, Mitch has the armband, but there are a lot of leaders on this team. There are a lot of guys who step up and lead by example. Not on Saturday against Miami. It really didn't seem like it. The passion just was not there, and you need some of those leaders, whether they have the armband or not, to rally the troops to say, hey guys, we need to rally from this. We need to respond positively. We need to continue to apply the game plan that Alan has set for us. And it never really kicked back into gear. And so SAFC came away with the loss and came away with its tail between its legs, because you could tell in the interviews they were not happy. And, they try and give it an optimistic spin. We need, like Marcina was saying, champions are decided on how you respond to this kind of adversity. And at first I was thinking, that's a great quote. And then I stepped back and said, well, every team's going to say that. It's a great motivational poster, but most teams, they may not have a good response to that. SAFC should have a better response to it. We'll see what they do on Saturday. But this was definitely, you can only go up from there, really, honestly.
Nowhere else but up. Yeah, it was tough. Not to give an excuse, but I mean, I will say one thing, that this game took place in FIU's football stadium, a 40,000 seat stadium. Listed attendance was 1,079. I'm sorry, 1,078. So zero atmosphere in the stadium. So hopefully coming up this weekend, we can make a big change as the home crowd. SAFC comes back home, as we'll transition from this Miami loss. It was ugly. Really not much in talking about it anymore. It is what it is. It's a loss. It was nasty. One to forget about. One you don't want to remember. You hope the players learn the lessons from it, but it's a nasty game, and we don't really want to talk about it anymore. We're done talking about it. Rearview mirror, look ahead. Like I said, play the Oakland Roots. We're playing at home. We got to bring the atmosphere on this one, and kind of up to us. So, kind of transitioning. Well, I guess real quick, let's go over the standings real quick. For the USL West, San Antonio FC finds themselves in 5th place hey, it's not sixth, it's fifth. With 12 points, we are now 6 points out of first place, which is Sacramento, but we're only 3 points out of second place, which is Orange County on 15 points. So still not out of it, still well within contention. But fifth place isn't nice. It's not a nice place to be. And I hope like I said, hope the team learns a lesson, and I hope we go on a run here, because that was not nice on Saturday, and I hope that leaves a little sour taste in their mouth. And at the same rate, hope Mitch comes back. Hopefully, it's not a serious thing, and you got to hope he comes back. So let's transition. Like I said, this Saturday, match at Toyota Field at Oakland Roots at San Antonio FC. It is Star Wars night. It's on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Sure. Live long and prosper. All that good fun, whatever you want to say. That's one of my favorite Brian Posehn jokes is if you want to make a nerd mad, get his thing wrong. So he on purpose would go to the Star Wars opening nights and go live Star Trek sucks and be like, it's Star Wars, get it right. Anyway, classic, great comedian. Anyway, if you know, you know, Brian Posehn, one of the best. So anyway, continuing on, Oakland Roots, we're going to frame this match in 3 big headlines, and they're pretty juicy headlines. My number one, don't roll your eyes. It's pretty cool. Number one, this is the battle of the former U.S. men's national team strikers. Oakland Roots this past week signed Dom Dwyer, formerly of Sporting Kansas City, formerly of, I believe he won promotion from the championship to the Premier League. Can't think of the club that he was with. But he was also U.S. men's national team striker on multiple occasions. So pretty exciting for Oakland signing for them. I didn't just make that up, Jonathan. Don't give me that look.
Those are you said
a promotion
to the in what country though?
England.
Okay, college career: Tyler Apache's South Florida Bulls. Senior career: Sporting Kansas City, loaned to Orlando City back in their USL days. Orlando City in MLS, Toronto FC, Atlanta United, Oakland Roots. He may have come from England. Youth career:
I thought he was
Stainstown and Kings Lynn. In terms of his senior career, he has basically been exclusively the US.
Who did I hear that from?
I don't know. Don't trust them, obviously. Also, for what it's worth, 4 appearances with the U.S. senior team. So, I mean, Agudelo had a few more than that, but I guess, sure, technically both U.S. men's national team strikers.
You know what?
In the twilight of their careers.
You know what? You're just a buzzkill, man.
Hey, not my fault. I'm into facts and accuracy.
What's the fuzzy numbers, right? Isn't that the George W. Bush thing? Fuzzy numbers?
I don't know. I was like 6.
And I thought we lived in a post-factual world. I thought that's where we live now, according to some people. Anyway, continuing on. Maybe I was wrong. My bad. Anyway, longtime MLS striker. Let's change that up. Longtime MLS striker. Now USL Championship striker for Oakland Roots. Will face off against his former USMNT compatriot Juan Agudelo for San Antonio FC. It's an exciting little matchup. I'm excited about that. The second headline, Jonathan, you want to go over Oakland's coaching fun?
Yeah, so Oakland's coach became the first, head coach at least, became the first casualty of this season, and that was after Oakland lost to the Switchbacks. Gave the Switchbacks, I believe, their first win of the season, so that's obviously not great. Oakland's gotten a couple wins. They haven't been terrible so far this season, but evidently the hierarchy was saying, hey, this isn't good enough. So they get rid of head coach, and unless they change things up over the next few days, Gavin Glinton has ascended to be interim head coach. So that'll just be an interesting wrinkle. You know, we've talked to SAFC and Alan Marcina in the past about, Colorado Springs, Brendan Burke moved on. You know, what do you think about the new coach? But I don't know that we've ever had a situation where SAFC is playing a team right after they axed their head coach like this in season. So it's going to be interesting to see what he thinks of this and how SAFC is able to cope with a team that there might be a bit of mystery around now. Because obviously, if the results aren't going your way, you might change things up. But if you change coaches, like that's perhaps an even bigger shakeup. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. At the same time, a new strategy doesn't mean it's going to be an immediate bounce back. Whatever the interim coach tries to do, if he really tries to do anything, or if he's just going to try and keep the ship afloat for a few weeks or a month or so until they get someone else in, whatever he ends up doing, it may not be as well rehearsed as Oakland would like. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You have some mystery to it, but they also may not quite have everything put together over the course of this week under a new coach. And not that, I guess, for the third sort of headline, is I would say this match on paper feels a lot like the Miami match this past weekend, which obviously is not the best sign for SAFC. You've got a team that has conceded 14 goals, which is the fourth most in the league, and has no clean sheets this season. And goalkeeper Paul Blanchette, who we've seen before with RGV and of course now with Oakland over the last few years, has made the second most saves. If you remember from last week's show and my preview and everything, Paul, I believe Paul was his first name, Gagliardi of Miami, he had made the most saves. He's still atop that list, but Blanchette is now one behind him. So another way that this, on paper at least, looks eerily similar to Miami. The only real difference that I was telling you before this podcast, before we started recording, SAFC's at home. Maybe that's enough to make a big enough difference this week.
Yep.
But also at the same time, SAFC maybe kind of looks at those numbers, looks at what Oakland's been doing, sees the similarities, sees, okay, why did this not work against Miami? How are we going to make it work against Oakland?
Yeah. Basically they have a good another try again. They failed against Miami. They get a second bite at the apple to get it right and in preparation for the for the match afterwards, which we'll talk about on our next show, the US Open Cup match. Right now we're going to stay focused on Oakland Roots. We'll talk about that on Sunday's show in the post game show for Oakland, and then we'll do a quick preview against Indy 11. But you said it. We'll see. We'll see if they pass the test. We'll see if they can pass the test this time instead of failing and falling on their face like they did against Miami. So
for what it's
we'll
worth,
see.
SAFC tends to have a pretty good record over the last few years coming off a loss. They don't like to lose twice. It's been since, I think, 2021 that they last did it. So over 2 years now. Or actually, it might have been 2020.
I think it was 2019. I think it was 2019 last time. I don't think they've lost 2 in a row in the Alan Marcina.
No, they have. I mean, if you remember the 2020 season, it kind of fizzled out toward the end. I think
that's fair. Yeah,
but
when we were playing in the little group of 4 or 5 teams that we had. And I will say one thing definitely to keep in mind: everything's in context, right? A very important bit of context with SAFC. Sure, we've lost 2 on the road this season, and that's tough. It's below our standard at this point, our standard that we form now. But remember, only 5 years ago, back when Darren Powell was our coach and not Alan Marcina, SAFC went 2 straight years without winning a match on the road. So just keep that in mind. That's remember where we were, remember where we're at, but also we have a standard to uphold. And hopefully the team responds. I definitely want to see how they respond. And like Jonathan said, in games after losses, normally SAFC comes out strong and they get a result. And at the same rate, historically, we've gotten results against Oakland as well. So we'll see how it goes on Saturday. And you figure anything out, Jonathan?
Just going back to, I don't know that SAFC ever went that long without an away win. Uh, I mean, the standard's been higher under Marcina,
Yeah.
but I guess you could just say in general, SAFC under Powell was kind of that middle of the road team, not
Right.
gonna completely blow you away. So if they did have sort of so form on the road, it was kind of just a part of a larger picture where they just didn't necessarily have the best form overall.
Right. Right. So anyway, real quick, one thing that we'd be remiss if we did not mention. A little bit of news, like you said, transitioning away from SAFC against Oakland. Hopefully, we'll see on Saturday. We'll see all out there, and hopefully that goes our way. But a little bit of soccer news in the San Antonio community. They announced that San Antonio is getting an MLS Next Academy team. They will be called AC River. They will start, I believe they said they would start later this year, right? In 2024, I believe. Evidently, they purchased the former Juventus Academy, from what I've heard, and they're just continuing that. But in the MLS Next platform, this is not MLS Next Pro. This is not the third division league that MLS has popped up. This is just an MLS Academy team that will service U13s through U19s in the San Antonio area. And this basically just takes over what San Antonio FC used to be in the since their inception in 2015/2016 until a year or two ago. They were also an MLS Next Academy, but they have since changed course. They have joined forces with Lone Star Academy, and now San Antonio FC's Academy competes in ECNL. I believe that's it, ECNL. We don't have all of our academy experts here, and so I'm just kind of shooting from the hip. It's just a continuation of what it used to be. They're kind of taking over. Is it big news? Sure. It's exciting news for youth soccer around San Antonio area, but as far as professional level and the professional scene, no change at all. Really, zero change at all. A slight transition. That's it. So that's exciting. And we did see that apparently River Plate had some from Argentina, had some of their staff, some of their front office staff come in and meet to talk about the academy. So exciting things in the San Antonio soccer realm. But as far as the pro level, it doesn't seem like there's really any adjustment. Jonathan, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe to clarify, when River Plate came in, I believe they were meeting with the Spurs.
That's what it seemed like, and that was
Yeah.
very interesting. And I don't get that. I have not been able to put two and two together on that. But apparently, yeah, some of the front office from River Plate was in town to meet with Spurs Sports Entertainment staff, but they met at Soccer Central, which is where this AC River team is going to partake. Like we said, they're basically just taking over for the former Juventus Academy that was in town, and they competed at Soccer Central. So that's where they met. So who knows what that meeting was about? I don't even think it had anything to do with this AC River. I think the name is just kind of ironically closely tied to River Plate.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we didn't have any confusion there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I probably kind of confused the
All
two. That's on me. Doesn't seem like there's any affiliation there between the MLS Next Academy and River Plate and SAFC, but SAFC staff or SS&E staff and River Plate staff did meet at Soccer Central to discuss certain things that we're not privy to. We just know that the front office staff from River Plate had a good time in San Antonio. That's all we know. So who knows? We'll see. Hopefully we'll hear about it soon, but who knows? So that's pretty much it. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you listening. Thanks for staying tuned into us, just chatting, shooting the breeze. But SAFC, Jonathan, you have any final thoughts?
All I'll say is April was a bit of a rough month for SAFC. 2 losses on the road, a win, okay, with some help from Hartford. You can take comfort in that. That was a positive. And then not winning your one home match against Orange County, which obviously it's been a good team that's had a strong start to the season, so that's fair. SAFC was okay with the performance, couldn't grab the win though, unfortunately. So hopefully SAFC has a bit of a fire under it going into May with more home matches, with Open Cup starting. You're going to need that motivation. You're going to need that fire within you because sometimes things might go against you or you might have injuries to contend with. Things may not be going your way necessarily on the field. You may not even be the better team sometimes. You need to find a way to get more out of yourself. So I would think, especially after that Miami match where SAFC felt displeased with itself, they should have a real fire going into this next month.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm looking for is the response. Yeah, tough April. Absolutely, completely agreed. My final thought is, like we mentioned earlier, Saturday is Star Wars night. According to the club, just beware if you are going to attend, if you're going to join. No lightsabers, no phaser blaster geyers, nothing that looks like a weapon, basically, for obvious reasons. If it looks like a weapon, they don't want it in the stadium. Kind of a public safety issue, especially with recent Fiesta events that have happened very, very recent past. Just leave those at home. Wear your shirts, costumes, whatever. Just leave the weapons at home. I think we can all agree on that one. But look forward to seeing you all there at the game on Saturday. Let's be loud. Let's show SAFC that we're behind them and what an actual crowd sounds like, and not 1,000 people interspersed in a 50,000 seat arena there in Florida International University. So we're going to get out of here. What's life without goals? Good night. Thanks for tuning in.